Hi, this is Mayhem News Live Wrestling Weekly for 8/10/2013, and got a pretty big show. Got a lot of good information here, so we're going to start on. We got some headlines. This show we usually cover the headlines as usual, and then we cover TNA and SmackDown. Starting off with the headlines, there's many talking about a possible outcome of the matches between the main event Mafia and the Aces and Eights at Hardcore Justice. With DOC already been future endeavored. Sorry, WWE, had to borrow your phrase. Sorry. Anyway, many state this might be the company's way of removing the husk from the wheat, especially during Aces and Eights, and so to speak. All I can say is, nice knowing you, Garrett Bischoff. I still can't believe they got rid of people like Jesse Sorensen, who was actually, actually giving to the. I don't understand. He was actually working in the background too, but yet we keep Eric Bischoff. Wouldn't happen to do anything with Bischoff being in upstairs, would it? Anyway, moving right along. Kurt Angle has entered a rehab after his fourth alcohol incident. We don't know if that's his fourth on record, or but we do know that there was an arrest. So he has entered, and we wish him well. I hope everything works out. Seth says hello, by the way. Dixie Carter has sent her support via Twitter to Angle. It must be kind of awkward for Angle, because when Jeff Hardy returned from rehab, Angle was part of an angle where basically everybody was questioning his worthiness after coming back from rehab, and Angle actually confronted him in the ring with it. Of course, it was a part of it. It wasn't him being vindictive or anything on a personal level, but the fact that he actually did that, now here's Angle having to go to rehab. So it's got to be kind of awkward, I would. You got to conquer your demons, dude. You need to get on the phone and call, talk to Goldust, talk to Scott Hall, talk to some of these, Jake the Snake, talk to some of these people that have got their demons under control, or you're going to end up the same way, and we don't want that. The Washington Post did an article talked to a lot of the wrestlers attending the Performance Center. And its impact on the wrestling world. I read it. It was a lot to talk about. So if you want to read it, just look up the Washington Post online, and you can see that thing. There's a lot of the wrestlers talking about how good that it's actually going to be for the wrestlers. Now, right now, the only ones there are the next competitors. But and then WWE Big Show was actually doing some rehab there. So. But anyway, TNA's last rating was a 1.0 and 1.2 million viewers, continuing their rating problems. Jesse Sorensen has released a t-shirt. I want you to listen to this. Obviously, it was aimed at Dixie Carter, because it has the hashtag AskDixie with his Twitter name underneath. Yeah. The only question is, and our big question for the day is this a wise decision for Jesse Sorensen to actually go after Dixie Carter? I agree that he maybe should have, especially if there's any kind of proof that he actually, was promised that he would always have a job. It kind of sets a tone with other wrestling organizations, and especially some of the larger ones have been kind of standoffish when it comes to wrestlers who have tried to call out their recent, employers. So just gotta. The shirt's funny. If hell, I'd buy one. I'd wear it because I think it's funny. But anyway, WWE is looking, or is WWE looking for a new home for Raw and SmackDown in 2004? Vince McMahon was quoted as saying he was looking for big money in 2014. And that being said, there's talk of their new home could be Viacom and Spike TV. I want to thank at Mercedes Gunner, if I'm butchering your name. That's at MERSEYGOONER, somebody that I've talked to a couple of times for the heads up on this story. So I actually found where they were talking about it. Should TNA be worried that Impact Wrestling would not have the clout to hold their spot on Spike TV against the heavyweight like WWE? Yeah, I'd be worried. Because if WWE walks into Spike headquarters and says, hey, we're looking for a new place to go, Spike's going to break their neck to try to get them in there. It would be wise for TNA to watch this very closely. Because, you know, you think they have a deal with Spike, TNA does. But you don't see TNA jumping up and saying, hey, we need some help. And you don't see Spike saying, hey, you know, we'll bail you out of this situation. They're not doing that. So there's a possibility that they know this is in the works. So we're just going to have to see. Could be rather interesting. You know, there for a while, you know, Next had the same problem. You know, ended up not having the place to be. Ended up having to be on the internet. So there's big talk, and don't move now. Well, you know, yeah, they say hey. Big talk of a Sheamus heel turn or repackaging for his return. He is recovering from a shoulder injury and surgery. To be honest, I like the heel Sheamus and the face Sheamus, so it's a win-win. You know, you know, both characters. He can do both. So there's big questions on the Shield maybe losing favor or focus with WWE Creative. It seems in the past week they have become just a mortar for the bricks of bigger storylines. They still, you know, lack the big influence in SummerSlam. Haven't heard anything about any matches for SummerSlam. I mean, all three of them hold a title, you know, so I would assume they would be there, but we're less than 2 weeks away from SummerSlam and still no talk of the Shield. So, you know, I would like to see the Shield versus the Wyatts, but, you know, with the Shield's lack of focus by Creative, it just doesn't seem feasible as long as they're, you know, kind of being, you know, I think maybe their undefeated streak, and a lot of people have talked about this, their undefeated streak actually protected them and gave them a, you know, because, hey, they're undefeated. But now that they've been beaten a couple of times, you know, and then started to lose, you know, on a singles basis, I don't see, you know, I think it needs to happen. I think the Shield versus the Wyatt would be awesome. WWE star Kane to star in a See No Evil sequel. The film was being directed by Gene and Silva Soska. He will play Jacob Goodnight, his former character from the last movie, who rises from the dead in the morgue after his killing spree at the hotel. So I know one pirate, Captain Ear, that will be really excited about this, and I can't wait to hear more about it. And no, I'm not going to talk about the rumors of an unclothed Kane. No, kind of awkward. Not going to talk about it. And I wouldn't do Cappy that way, so we're going to move on. Moving on to TNA. TNA's show was pretty solid. I mean, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't nothing I wrote home about, but it was pretty solid. I'll give it to him. Brooke Hogan interrupts Bully Ray running his mouth out into the ring and gives him the old, you don't get a title shot if you lose against Saban ever speech. Bully agrees because, you know, he's going to. And then he basically tells Tito Ortiz that he will slap him in the face. Now, I'm going to be honest, I would actually pay for a pay-per-view to see that fight. Especially if it wasn't Tito Ortiz, the character on TNA, and it was the Tito Ortiz, the MMA fighter. Unlike Brock Lesnar, Tito Ortiz can actually fight in an MMA ring. And actually, apparently, compared to his promo on TNA, what little bit there was, he can actually talk on camera, and they didn't have to hire someone, even though, you know, it's kind of a two-edged sword. Yes, they had to get someone to talk for Brock Lesnar. But on a good thing, we get to hear the master of the microphone, Heyman Hustle. Paul Heyman. I mean, come on. I'm going to say this again. He walked out on a WWE TV show, and to be frankly honest, Seth, you're bumping the camera, son. To be frankly honest, go over there. Quit bumping my camera. Anyway, Seth says hello again. To be frankly honest, he walked out on that TV show the first night he came out for CM Punk, and there was about maybe 20% of the people in the audience that knew who he was. He talked for 5 minutes, and pretty much everybody either hated him, they really wasn't really sure who he was, but he had them eating out of the palm of his hand, and that's what Heyman does. So Jeff Hardy defeats Samoa Joe in a big match in the BFG series. Way to go, Jeff Hardy. And that was no easy task because Samoa Joe is a beast. Anyway, Anderson defeats Magnus via DQ after Robert Roode comes out hitting Anderson with a chair. This also cost Magnus 10 points in the BFG series. Oopsie. Anyway, Ortiz basically comes out to do a promo. Kurt Angle done him the same way he did Rampage Jackson. Comes out, you know, and basically tells him, you know, I'm going to respect your space, excuse me. I'm going to respect your space as long as you respect mine. And it kind of seemed that Tito Ortiz agreed, you know, got mutual respect. Of course, Bully Ray comes out and again popping off and saying basically that he could beat Angle. He's been doing it for the last 10 years, and he could pretty much single leg take down Tito Ortiz. I'd still pay to see that. Anyway, you know, and you know, you can say what you want to about Bully Ray, but he really is good at stirring the poop pile. Okay, I'm serious. He's good at stirring the poop. As long as you don't stir the fire, Bully Ray, because when you play in the fire, you usually end up peeing in bed. Boy Scouts, what do you expect? Anyway, Storm, Gunner, and ODB defeats the bromance. I'm sorry, bromance. Anyway, and Mickie James with Gail Kim attacking ODB after the match. Kaz and Daniels fought to a double count out. They fought to a certain point, looked at each other, jumped out of the ring, got counted out. Kind of figured something like that was going to happen. And then Rude comes out with a chair, and Kazarian and Daniels is like, whoa. He throws it down. They all three jump in the ring and say they're going to start a big portion of the BFG series. So one of them is going to be the heavyweight champion, and that they're going to team up. So they haven't set a name, so I guess they didn't. Creative couldn't come up with a name before the show, so moving right along. Chris Sabin and Angle with Sting defeats Team 3D to end the show. It was a solid show. I give it a 6. Maybe a 7, 6.5. You know, strong 6, medium 6.5, maybe a 7. But it was a pretty good show. I didn't have to fast forward too much. You know. On SmackDown was in Rockford, Illinois. That's just 45 minutes from my home. No, I didn't go. I particularly, I'll be honest. If I'm going to go to a show, I want to go where I can actually enjoy myself. And I think if I'm going to go to a show, I'll go to a GLCW or something like that. Sorry. I'll watch them at home in the comfort of my home, but I'm not going to a WWE show. It'd have to be a pretty big show for me to go. Sorry. Goldust return to Raw or SmackDown or WWE period? Maybe. Yeah, definitely. I'd go to that one, but I don't think I'd go to anybody else. Okay. Randy Orton defeated RVD with Orton hitting the RKO for on RVD for the win. It was a pretty good match. Anytime Orton or RVD's, it's pretty good. Miz TV had it started off with Big E and AJ, but Ziggler and Caitlyn walk out together. Hello, been talking about it for a couple of weeks. Makes it interesting to say the least. Miz making a match between the two teams. I don't want to say couples because they're not really couples. Caitlyn got her hands on AJ, which Big E tried to pull her off, and received a zigzag for his trouble. But that was interesting. Anyway, Fandango defeats Kofi in a rematch. They do a lot of rematches, don't they? It's not like they're going up for a tag champion or anything. But anyway, like I said, I do respect the Fandango a little bit more than I did before. And Kofi's cool, even without the Jamaican accent. Basically, Summer Rain faked a ankle injury. Kofi need to watch some film because that's been pulled before. He didn't watch films. He'd went, that girl ain't hurt. But anyway, it allowed Fandango to hit the leg drop off the top rope. I'm pretty sure Hogan was at home going, man, that just makes me smile. He did a leg drop. Never mind. Moving on. Brian continues on his winning streak by defeating Barrett. This was a matchup because Brian actually shaved part of Barrett's beard off. And so he tries to go after Brian with the beard again, with the clippers again, and Brian ends up slapping on the no-lock and winning. So good for him. Kane defeats all of 3MB, which shows their importance on the show. The word cannon fodder comes to mind. Anyway, with Wyatt coming on the Titantron, saying he's already dead and doesn't fear the devil's favorite demon. There's a lot of fans talking. Many people are going to Twitter and Facebook, basically letting people know that they're already tired of the Wyatt storyline. And my response to that is, you could always watch TNA. They've got these huge storylines. I like TNA, but I mainly watch it because of Sting. I like AJ Styles. There's a lot of people I actually like on that show. I don't actually watch it because it's TNA. I watch it because, I could actually go without seeing Hogan on TV ever again. Anyway, but, I like it because I like some of the stars there. I think that they do have some talent that's worth watching. And so does ROH. And we'll talk about them on Tuesday. Anyway, let's see. Lesnar does a taped interview. God forbid he have a live mic. I'll do a quick impression. Blah, blah, grunt. Blah, 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 blah. Grunt, blah, blah. That's pretty much it. Punk. Blah, blah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. He's going to go after Punk pretty much. For an idiot translation. Yeah, pretty much. Christian defeats Del Rio with, and then when Del Rio was down, Sandow come out and was fixing to cash in his Money in the Bank. And, of course, Cody Rhodes says, to borrow a phrase from Stone Cold Steve Austin. And, that's pretty much the show notes. We got some other stuff we're going to talk about. Like I said, I've kind of postponed our return to live until I can get me a computer. And, I have a child. That child's preparing to go back to school in September, and we want to be able to get him the stuff that he needs, plus some extra stuff. So I'm just going to, computer's not really important right now. I can do a lot of the things on my phone now that I couldn't before. So, and family comes first. We'll get back to live, now that I've got a phone that I can edit my videos and post them the way I want to on YouTube. I can't go live with it, but yeah, it'll be all right. We'll go back, and once we do go back, we will be searching for a new co-host. I do want to say, first mention to some friends. You can check them out at Blast52 or at Blast52 Drummer. Blast52 is a band that they have. They have some great songs.
They're at Blast52.
Yeah, and at Blast52 is not only the lead singer, but that's actually the main account for the band. You can also find them if you'll go to their Twitter page, go to their Twitter account. He usually posts their YouTube channel a lot, so you can go and listen to some of their music. They've got a new EP coming out right now. As far as I know, it's just going to go to YouTube, iTunes, but it could come to CD. We don't know yet, but right now they're looking at iTunes. So give them a hit out on Twitter. Tell them the Mayhem News Live sent you, and we're going to be pushing them a little bit, just because they're friends and good people.
And they're Irish.
I love the Irish. They're cool. Anyway, we're going to go Zach Pack Promotions. That's Z-Pack Promotions on Twitter, Zach Pack Promotions on Facebook. And you can go to their webpage at www.zachpackpromotions.com. And if you want to check out Busting for Autism, that's zachpackpromotions.com/bustingforautism. They are also covering, they're covering Goldust Taking Care of Business Tour for 2014. They are covering all of his bookings for that tour. You can contact them at, ZachPackPromotions@gmail.com. He is looking for serious bookers. He does not do birthday parties or private. He's not going to let you pay him and come sit at your house. That's not what he does. He does conferences. He does teaching sessions. He does matches, appearances, autograph sessions. So that's the stuff he's looking for. He's planning on doing anywhere from 50 to 75 things for that year. So contact them if you're interested in that. If you don't know what Zach Pack Promotions is, they are a non-profit organization trying to help with special needs children, the families of those children, trying to get them the things they're not. Cancer patient and their families. They're pretty much trying. They're actually helping anybody they see that needs clothes or anything. I saw something on their Facebook page the other day about a family needing some clothes for school. So go to their webpage. Everything is there. And follow them on Facebook. And make sure when you go there, you tell them that Mayhem News Live sent them. All right, our second sponsor is Fight Disability Slurs. The webpage is down, and Mayhem News Live and Mayhem News Live pages are down because we are moving to another server. So the only way you can see this show is on YouTube, Google Plus, and then I post it to our Facebook page as well. So, but we are trying to, Fighting Disability Slurs and ourselves are trying to fight those disability slurs, racial slurs, slurs in general. If this world would grow up, the world would be a lot better place. Anyway, everybody apparently thinks we're still in elementary school. Anyway, finally, if you wondered who the theme song was, that is New Blood from Throttle. That's THRODL. If you don't know who Throttle is, shame on you. All of their singles and albums are available on iTunes as we speak. They do have a new album coming out called Razor Wire Finish Line. And as soon as we get any information about that, I will let you know. We will be doing some giveaways for them and to help them promote their stuff. So I just wanted to let everybody know that that is going on. And I appreciate the nearly 900 viewers that we've had. I appreciate it. I appreciate anybody who has been retweeting the show and talking to us. If you would like to follow us on Twitter, you can follow us at Mayhem News Live. That's the first letter of each word capitalized. And that is exactly the same thing as our YouTube channel. So you can go to YouTube and search Mayhem News Live, and there will be. You can also follow, both pages are still on Facebook. That's Mayhem News and Mayhem News Live. You can find us on there. The letters of each word is capitalized, first letter, so you'll be able to find us that way. And if you have anything you want us to talk about, you can always contact us at mayhemnews@gmail.com or mayhemnewslive@gmail.com, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. I appreciate everyone who's been listening to the show. We are trying to set up a couple of interviews Right now, the first one, the one we're going to be doing here pretty soon, is actually going to be a telephone interview, and I'm still not going to tell you who it is because I don't count my chickens until the eggs hatch. So, but right now I'm going to let Throttle take us on out of here with New Blood, and don't forget to go to them iTunes and Blast 52. They would be really appreciative to doing that. So take us out, Throttle.